Welcome to The Localist, a conversation with local makers and independent entrepreneurs. I'm your host, author of the Localist book, and former small business owner, Carrie Rollwagen. Our guests today are Meredith Carter, who is the owner of the bridal shop Bustle, and her creative director, Laine White. So we do talk a little bit about wedding gowns on this podcast, but we really delve into the business behind what they do. I think Meredith does such an amazing job at creating hospitality for her clients. And she talks about how important that is to the actual business. Part of that, I think, is what she likes to provide and what she enjoys about the business. But we'll talk about the actual impact that has and why it actually has such a good economic impact for the business as well. We also get into some marketing on the podcast. So we talk about social media and how they approach that. We even talk about an event that went viral that was about Bustle and how they use that to their advantage. I love that Meredith and Laine both come on so we can kind of get both the business owner perspective and the marketing perspective as well. So I think that is really unique and really valuable. I did want to mention that Laine works at the sister company of our podcast sponsors. So The Localist is sponsored by Infomedia, which is the web development company where I work. And our sister company is Uptick Marketing, and Laine is a marketing consultant there as well. So if you're actually interested in working with Laine, you can do that. But today we're just going to kind of learn from her and from Meredith as well. So welcome to The Localist.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. I'm excited to talk because we've known each other for a long time, but haven't talked about business really. And then Laine and I actually work together. So, but we also haven't talked about Bustle. So I'm excited to kind of delve into that more. Mm-hmm. But tell people listening, how did you get into this business? Because Bridal is kind of, it's a unique business anyway, but I think specifically what your shop does is different than a lot of bridal shops. So how did you get here?
Mm-hmm. Originally, when I opened the shop, I sold what I called pre-loved dresses. So dresses mm-hmm. that had been altered, had been worn, and Facebook Marketplace did not exist, but Mountain Brook Trading was a brand new Facebook page, and ladies were posting their wedding dresses there, and I just thought that seems really impossible to have somebody come to your home and try on your wedding dress in your living room. So I was DMing these ladies and offering to pick up their dresses at their house and consign them, and it was really well received. And so I was driving all around Birmingham picking up wedding dresses from ladies and consigning them. I had this really tiny little space in Bluff Park. It was total about 500 square feet. And I consigned the dresses there. I had worked by appointment the same way I do now. And it was well received on both ends. Yeah. Brides were into it, and ladies who were wanting to get rid of their dresses were also into it. Yeah. So it was a pretty good experiment that went really, really well.
So did you have an arrangement with the shop? So you actually made an appointment and went to the consignment shop, or were... Yeah.
So I was renting a part of a space in Bluff Park. There was this large space it was around, I don't remember, 1,500, 2,000 square feet, and I rented the back part of it. And so that was the consignment shop. And so brides were making appointments with me, bridal mm-hmm. appointments, to come and try on the dresses there at the shop. So I was taking them from individuals. They were consigning the dresses to me, and then I was selling them to brides.
Okay, that makes sense. So I guess you had to have several, did this really snowball? Were there that many people listing their dresses on Mountain Brook Trading, or was that just where the concept came from?
Honestly, there were plenty people listing their dresses online for sale, enough for me to fill a 500 square foot space and then to need more space. Mm-hmm. And so I was seeking them out, and then fairly quickly people heard that there is some girls taking wedding dresses, and they started calling.
I like that, the way.
And
there's a girl taking wedding dresses.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So that quickly blossomed, and I fairly quickly needed more space. So I was only in that original space for, I think I was there for 4 or 5 months. They let me rent month to month, which was an amazing opportunity that I was able to rent such a small space, and that they allowed me to rent it month to month. So it gave me the chance to just try it.
Yeah.
And it went well enough that I felt like I can grow just a little bit.
So when you were in that space, was this your full-time job? Were you thinking, oh, I want this to be something bigger, or was it a side hustle that got out of control, or what?
That's a good question. No, that was my full-time job.
Okay.
I had worked in retail for about 5 years prior to that, and I fell in love with retail. I love clothes, and I love feeling good in my clothes, and I really love when I can help somebody else choose something that they feel really good in. And so it wasn't that I had this love for weddings or the bridal industry. I just really like clothes, and I like when people feel good in their clothes, and there's no better. That's kind of like the pinnacle of the shopping experience, is shopping for a wedding dress.
Yeah. And the time you really want to feel good in your clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, everybody wants to feel like a 10 out of 10 in their wedding dress.
And you're like, they're also very structured, but you want to be comfortable. It is actually a big ask to say you're going to wear this for so many hours.
Yes.
It's supposed to be the most perfect dress you've ever worn in your life.
Yes. It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. It's supposed to look beautiful. Yeah. And then it's, you're eating and drinking all day, but it's supposed to say pristine and white.
Mm-hmm. It is a lot of pressure. Yeah. And there's a lot of buildup for a lot of women. They're thinking about this dress since they're in the 3rd grade. Mm-hmm. So, and therefore it is very rewarding when a bride finds her dress.
Yeah. So that's how you started. Tell people about what Bustle is now, because they may not be, like, honestly, I didn't know about the different pricing on the dresses and things like that. I just knew Bustle has beautiful dresses and is a place to get a wedding dress. Like, that was like where it stopped for me. Mm-hmm. But when I was researching, like, there is so much more about, like, the way that Bustle runs is a lot different. So can you tell people about that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we no longer sell pre-loved dresses. So our gowns have not been worn, never been altered. Mm-hmm. They are all samples. So a sample dress just means the dress has been tried on. It's never been altered, never worn down the aisle. And because they've been tried on, sometimes they have flaws, like loose beads or missing buttons, and because of that, everything's always on sale. So all of our gowns are discounted, sometimes up to 80-90% off retail. So our brides are still able to walk out the door with the dress as they always were. Mm-hmm. They don't have to wait 6 months on the dress to come in, and they're getting a discounted gown. Yeah. So in that sense, it's the same as the way that we started, but they haven't been worn, haven't been altered.
Yeah. So tell people about what is normal, like, because I think if you haven't, a lot of our listeners haven't ever tried on a wedding dress or don't know how that is at all. Mm-hmm. So they don't know that you would typically have to wait. So, like, if you went to another place, like, what is the normal experience?
Mm-hmm. So at a traditional bridal shop, you make an appointment, you go and try on gowns, and if you find a dress you like, they will order that dress for you in the size closest to your size. Mm-hmm. And average order time for a wedding gown is anywhere from 5 to 7 months. Mm-hmm. So you leave with a receipt.
Yeah.
There's a lot that can go wrong in 5 to 7 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, even experiencing ordering bridesmaids dresses, you're fitted for those, and yet somehow when you get them, they're like, this is not right.
They rarely are.
Yeah. It's also, I think, different. I mean, the shops do a good job, but you try on, what they're trying on is the sample gown, right?
Right.
And that's what eventually is going to Bustle.
Exactly.
But something that's like clipped to you, and that's going to be a little bit different when you actually get it. Whereas your gowns, that's not the case. Like, you wore it, you're buying the actual thing and walking out with it. So
Exactly.
that is very, like, unusual.
Mm-hmm.
I think also Bustle is really intentional about, like, you're talking about clipping to your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you may still get things altered just because, you know, as we all know,
Absolutely, yeah.
women trying on clothes, one size 4 is not the same as another size
Yeah.
4. So I think what's different about some of the stylists at Bustle or the consultants at Bustle is that they are clipping like how a seamstress is going to, like, fit the dress to your body. And at least from my experience, like, shopping for a wedding dress, a lot of people at most bridal shops don't really know how to do that super well, and it's like a thing that's regularly trained in our team. So not only do they help you find a dress that's like already a great fit to begin with, but they're going to say, okay, this is going to be what it looks like when your seamstress alters it. And that is, I think that's something we do really intentionally that not a lot of other people in town do, or really anywhere do. So it's a very intentional part of the process.
Well, because it's hard to do.
It's
That
not
adds-
easy.
I mean, I would think that adds a lot to your training, not just saying, you know, can you serve champagne and are you nice to people? But let's learn about how a dress is constructed and a wedding dress,
Right.
and how it's going to be altered. How does that training work? Like, did that evolve organically? Do you have like a workbook guide? Is it more just you take an hour with somebody and they explain how that works, or how do you teach people that?
That's a good question.
We train really intensely.
Yeah.
We do, yeah. It's definitely evolved over time. We do have a training guide, and we work pretty intensively on what we feel are some really important topics. Alterations being one. We want our brides to leave feeling really confident that that dress is going to fit them when the alterations are finished. So that means that our consultants have to have a fairly good understanding of how it's going to be altered. None of our consultants are seamstresses, so it takes some time to kind of instill that knowledge. And then we talk a lot about fit and feel. It's a really big one because often brides will come in with photos from wherever, all over the internet, that the internet tells them that they should like.
Yeah.
And they do when they see those photos, but more than likely that's not what they're going to like when they put it on. I wish that we had a psychologist who could teach us why, but I mean, it happens 9 times out of 10. Bride will come in with a photo and know that that's the dress she wants, and that's not the dress she ends up with. So training our consultants to understand that from the beginning and to be able to read the bride throughout the process and be her guide to finding the dress that ultimately makes her feel like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's tough because you have to be a really good listener, but you also sort of like a chef who says, I think you should try this, like the amuse-bouche or whatever it is. Like, in a lot of ways, that's what our consultants do, is they both listen and take in good feedback, but they also have to be confident enough to say, hey, I want you to try something different, not even necessarily because they want them to buy that dress, but because we want them to have the experience of trying a lot of different options, because we know that most people don't buy the kinds of dress that they expect to buy, and most people end up falling in love with something because of that. I think a lot of people, like, not that you ever don't want to listen to your bride, but we think it's really important that you also see your consultant at Bustle as, like she said, a guide. It's someone who's going to walk you through, okay, now we're going to try some other things here too, and that's an important part of the process. You won't know that you love your dress until you try on different shapes and different materials and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to somebody that's just an order taker, there are places you can go for that. But also, if you're going and buying a sample gown anyway, I don't think that's there. It feels like there is kind of that treasure hunting aspect a little bit,
Right.
And it seems like you'd be happier as a Bustle client if if that was attractive to you.
Oh, and there are some treasures.
Yeah.
We talked
There
about
are some
this
treasures.
before this, that there's sometimes dresses that have been on a runway before, or it's a sample that they didn't end up producing for whatever reason. Maybe they didn't have enough of that material and they just couldn't source it or something. It's not like it's a bad dress, but you end up getting a hold of dresses like sometimes straight from a designer that, I mean, to wear a runway dress, that's just really cool. So definitely a treasure hunting aspect of things.
Yeah, so we ask our brides to come with an open mind because, we may put them in something that they've never seen before because no one's ever seen it before.
Well, also some of that, even though the idea of trying things on that may not be you, I think it also helps you to be more confident in what you do choose because I do think it's different when you know the feeling that you had with 4 other gowns and then you're like, okay, this is the one. Whereas if you only put one on, it's like later when you leave, I feel like my head would be going like, is it like, was there something better? You can kind of tell that magic or whatever with the
that's a great point. You're able to, when our brides leave, they can confidently say, I tried everything and I know that this is the one for me.
Well, when somebody walks in, I guess they book an appointment first. Kind of walk me through what is the whole journey? What does it look like? Like, what's it like when they walk in the door? Do they, what is the process?
So our brides book an appointment online. We have our calendar there, and they can choose the date and time that's best for them. And when they arrive for their appointment, their consultant will be there waiting for them, and our bride, and she's able to bring up to 4 guests, so our bride and her guests are all together in the fitting room, which it's funny, they often are startled by that. But we have a curtain that on a curtain track that slides down the middle of that room, so there is privacy for her while she's changing.
It's also more comfortable for the bride. Like in a lot of situations, you have to drag your dress out to the room where everybody's waiting, and it's heavy and you get sweaty and it's uncomfy. So it really is for the bride's benefit that we put them in the same room, but there's of course lots of privacy involved.
Yes, we want it to feel very private. I went to when I was shopping for my dress, I went to a shop where I tried my dress on in the fitting room, but the mirror was outside of the fitting room, and I walked out seeing all these other brides in their dresses, and it just felt so like the magic was lost. I want the bride to feel like she is the only bride. So we do have a big mirror outside the fitting room that we love to take our brides to just so they can see the natural light, but we don't take more than 1 bride at a time out there. We really want it to be a really magical an intimate experience. So
that mirror is really there for selfies too, because everybody loves to take a good selfie photo. So
the light is good.
Definitely curate the entire layout of the lobby space so that it was good selfie lighting. We know what people want.
Well, that's good for them and good for you also, I would think. I think that's also, having that kind of experience also means that on the day of your wedding, it actually does affect the confidence you have. I had a lot of friends who were wedding vendors, and they were amazing. But I only had one vendor that I wasn't friends with before, and they did that, this is what we're seeing, we see this for you. And I was like, this is so amazing,
It feels special.
It was Molly and Joanna, by the way. I feel like I should throw that out there.
Yes.
Now we're friends, but
they are amazing.
But they were just describing this whole. This is what we see for. I mean, it was like a French country scene, but it was about my hair and makeup. But they were setting that, and that really even on the day, that's in my head of oh, this is how I feel, and this is and so I do think it actually does make a difference, how you feel when you're trying on your wedding dress impacts how you feel in your wedding dress, I think.
There's some magic to that. I mean, we're really intentional about it, and we always cringe when we see other shops not do it this way, but we were talking about clipping earlier. A dress that doesn't fit you, you may look at and you're immediately giving to the things that are wrong, but once you get clipped in that dress well, it fits you like a glove. We don't let brides look at themselves in the mirror until those clips are all in place and we're confident that the fit is where it needs to be, because it changes your perception. You may see the same dress with it not fitting and then with it fitting and be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, because it's really about how it feels on you, you know?
Yeah. So, okay, they come, they have, you get pushback on the 4 people? I feel like in the wedding
Yes.
industry, you probably get pushback on everything.
Yeah, it's tough because it has really, bridal shopping, I think also because there are quite a few bridal salons in Birmingham, it is really an occasion, and brides want to bring all of
Everybody.
their friends
Yeah,
and family.
yeah.
And I understand because it is special. It's a magical experience and you want everyone to be there. It's like your birthday party.
Yeah.
But there's only one. So, brides do want to bring lots of folks, but just because of the setup of our fitting rooms, we can't accommodate more than 4. And oftentimes after the appointment, brides will comment on that and they'll say, I am so glad this was an more intimate experience than I could have anticipated. And it can be tough when there are lots of voices in the room. We also, this is something else, we train our team to really focus on the bride, read her body language. If she's, she is communicating with you at all times in some way by, nonverbal cues. And so we really want to focus on how she's feeling, what she's thinking. Does she like it? Does she not like it? And a lot of times it can be difficult when there are lots of voices giving their thoughts. So it does help to have your closest 4 along on this experience.
I think that's also something we've been intentional about because, people might say, well, if you're getting pushback, why not just make it where you could have more? And there are definitely places that do, but it really is a less than experience for the bride. Like, I think that's one common theme about the way Bustle is run is we really are prioritizing what we know is the best thing for these brides. And we've seen hundreds and hundreds of brides in the years that we've been in business. So for
12?
us, 12. Gosh,
Yeah.
I was trying to say, I was I know it's past 10, but now I'm worried it's more than I think it is. But 12 years. So in 12 years, how many brides we've seen that, when you bring a whole crowd of people, you start worrying about, oh, well, so-and-so's kid is pulling on something. And now I'm catering to this person. And a lot of brides, a lot of women just in general are wanting to host and take care of all their people. And we just don't want that to be the focus. So we are the hosts. So our brides don't go and look through the dresses. They don't leave that space. They're there and they're comfortable, and we bring everything to them. I think that's another really important point about Bustle. Maybe you can explain a little bit about kind of the dress picking experience for them.
Yeah. We are full service bridal salon. So even though we sell samples, we still walk the bride through the experience start to finish. And we have a conversation when she arrives about her wedding and her vision for the day, and then our consultant pulls gowns based on what the bride has told her and her budget and her size. So the bride just stays comfortable in that fitting room. She doesn't have to wander around, dig through dresses, which for some may sound really fun, and then for others sound like a nightmare.
Right, yeah.
So we just eliminate that step. Our consultants know our inventory, and they take that pressure off the bride, having to look at every price tag. Is this in my budget? Having to look at every size tag. Is this going to fit me? And also try to understand the bridal sizing system, which is a whole other thing because
it's not the same.
It is not the same. So we just eliminate those challenges for the bride, and our consultant takes care of her from start to finish. She even helps the bride into each dress in the fitting room, and then clips her, as Laine mentioned. And then we open the curtain so that her guests can see and take pictures. We are happy for people to take pictures. Sometimes it helps see a little more objectively when we look at ourselves in the mirror. Immediately we look at whatever the thing is that we don't like about ourselves. And when we see ourselves in a photo, we do it less so. And I don't, again, there's another question for a psychologist. Please call in if you have the answer.
I think it's also funny too because, while some people may be like, oh gosh, I really wish I could go through the racks and pick a dress, this also means that your guests can't do that. So when you have a sister who's really always tries to take over, or an in-law who has their opinion about what they want, they can, of course, voice it to the consultant, and the consultant does a really good job of taking everybody's feedback into consideration. Obviously, bride is most important, but it also means that they get to sit back and relax and enjoy the day, and they're not going to take control over the appointment, which nobody intends to do that. It's not, and no one's doing it maliciously, but everybody just gets excited, and so it just really helps to have the consultant be a little bit of a buffer. So we're girls, like we're making sure that bride's taken care of, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that does happen. I don't think that's a secret. That happens on almost every wedding. I think that everybody says you should do what you want, except for this one thing that I happen to care a lot about. You know?
Yeah, you're exactly
We've
right.
all seen 27 dresses.
Yes. Well, and also I would think selling samples anyway, I mean, why would you want to look through all of these things that aren't in your size and aren't alterable to be in your size, you know? So it does
people
seem
fall
like,
in love with dresses that they see on the rack, and then they get really disappointed if it doesn't fit them.
Yeah.
And there's like no disappointment baked into this
Right,
experience.
yeah.
That's the whole point. I think it's also important to note, though, that while some people, I mean, you said you didn't even really understand that, like, we exclusively sell sample dresses. While there are people who come to us for that, I would say a good 75% of people come to us because Bustle has such a beautiful experience. Like, we have kind of pivoted our mindset. We used to say, this is the thing we need to talk about all the time, but we've learned that people come to us regardless.
They don't care.
It's not necessarily that they have a tight budget, and maybe they do. It's not necessarily that they're, like, excited about getting a $10,000 gown for $2,000, which that's also really great. Yeah. But it's really because people love the experience, and they, like, we have a lot of siblings who a sister will come and then their little sister will come because they want to be a Bustle bride, you know? So that's a really special part of things.
Well, that is one thing I wanted to ask about how you guys, because I do think the experience that you create through, like, social media and all of that is just like a custom experience. And so I've never had any impression that it was like a discount place, you know? And I think something comes to mind when you think discount bridal store. And it's definitely not what you guys are talking about. So how, when you say, like, you intentionally kind of did that, what are some things that you do with your marketing or with other pieces that kind of are communicating this is what you're going to be, this is going to be a special experience?
It's definitely a moving target for us, I think, because we're always taking feedback and listening to people and what's exciting about them. I think one thing we've really tried to say lately is we encourage people to save the best for last, meaning go have your fun, do your shopping just to get it out of the way where you're, you know, go walk the rack somewhere, but then come here for the, like, experience that, like, you always dreamed of having. I think I did that when I was shopping. I wanted to go find my dress, but I also kind of wanted that experience, and we want people to say they can have both in one place. You know, you don't have to go to 12 places. So that's definitely been a component of it. We used to really lead with, like, wear sample gowns and just talk about that all the time, but again, we just found that for most people, they just don't really care. They want the experience. That's what they're going for.
They want the experience, and then they want that feeling.
Yes,
of course. The feeling in the right dress.
Yes.
Yeah, that's newer for us, though, realizing
it is,
that.
Yes.
I mean, I really felt like that's why people are shopping with us probably until the last year, is they want a discounted dress. That's why we go to TJ Maxx, is because we know we can get something good for less. And then it just occurred to me, I'd heard it so many times, but, you know, it just hit me that, what they're telling me is the opposite of what I've been believing about why they're shopping. They're telling me they're coming here because their friend said they had a good experience. They're not coming here because their friend told them they got a discounted dress. And I've heard it over and over and over. And then, I mean, it was a pretty recent conversation, and I was like, wait a second.
I think part of the realization for us, too, is realizing that for a lot of brides, they're not buying their dress. I'm not saying there aren't plenty of people who do, but for a lot of people, it's a like really precious gift from like a grandmother or a mother. My grandmother bought my dress, and like that is such a like beautiful thing. But so the person who's making the decision about where they want to shop is often not the person who's signing on the dotted line for payment. And so that was another big shift for us. Like we've always put the bride first, but then we realized, wait a second, we're thinking about cost is such a big factor, but a lot of people to that point have been saving forever for their wedding dress, or it's the place they're willing to spend some money on. So even though they are a really good deal, for most people it's just about like the joy of the experience and the ease of it, and then also just not having somebody be pushy or salesy. That's the worst, is when people are trying to shove a dress on you because they just really want you to buy and get on to the next appointment.
It is interesting. I think people who don't understand the wedding industry don't understand that you have several different stakeholders. Like, I think we had Emily Wells came on and talked about that, and Empress, the stationery, like they talked about how you often do have, like, it's supposed to be like the bride, but it's also like the mother-in-law secretly, or the mother, or whoever it is, like the dad, like. There's always, it's weird because I actually drew a lot of correlations between like our work at Infomedia with that, because we have the marketing manager who's usually our client, but really they have a boss who's also our client. And I don't think people realize how strong that is in the wedding industry.
It's huge.
It really is. Yes. Because also, in addition to bride having dreamt about this day, mom has also dreamt about this day, and grandma and sister. So this is everyone's wedding. Everyone feels like it's their wedding.
Well, how do you approach that? Like, what do you do for the people who are in the room to, I guess it's sort of a two-part. Like, how do you suss out, like, okay, who are the people who are going to have strong opinions? Or maybe you don't have to. Maybe that's very clear. And then how do you, like, are they having food or drinks, or what do you do for the other people?
That's a great question. It is usually very obvious if there are others in the room with very strong opinions, and it is it's a balancing act, because we want everyone in the room to have a great experience. Our focus is the bride, and we want everyone else to have a great experience there as well. So we train our consultants over and over again to focus on the bride, while also not discounting or disrespecting anybody else in the room. So we often get suggestions from the group about what the bride should try, and so we acknowledge that and just ask the bride to confirm if she wants to try that. Maybe mom's always dreamt of her daughter wearing a sequined ball gown. So far up until this point in the appointment, we're only hearing satin fit and flare, and we, grandma really wants to see the sequin ball gown, so we'll just ask the bride, sounds like grandma really wants you to try a sequin ball gown. Are you interested in trying something like that? And if she says no, then we don't bring it, but we've given the bride the opportunity to answer grandma's request herself. And if she says yes, then we bring it.
I think it's also about just making everyone feel heard and valued. The bride doesn't have to buy that sequin ball gown, right? But maybe she loves fit and flare. Maybe she's really going for satin. But, we try to make everybody try something different. So maybe we bring a sequin fit and flare, and we say, Grandma, we know you love that sequin ball gown. Here's, like, some sequins on her. Don't they look great? I'm so excited that we get to try this, So I think there's also some true, like, nuance to that. And we really only hire girls who can really read the room, and we talk about that a lot in our hiring and in our interviews. Like, we want people who kind of get how to serve everyone and make everyone feel heard, but again, prioritize the bride.
Yes, it is a little balancing act, because we really want grandma to have a great experience too. But not at the expense of the bride. We don't want to turn bride into our Barbie doll that we're just putting everything on because this is what friend wants to see. This is what mom wants to see. And that just will diminish the experience for her.
Yeah.
And it's an emotional process just in general.
It's very emotional, yeah.
Mostly positive. But, you know, sometimes there are hard situations that come up for people too. And it's rare that we see anything all that crazy. But our girls just do a really good job of kind of navigating that. And they're good at it. They've done it so many times too that they've kind of learned, you know, let's not poke that bear or let's do this because it's going to make somebody happy, you know. So I think it helps having someone in there who really is intentional about that. Because again, not to compare too much to other places, but I think a lot of times it's just like, this is just an appointment and I'm just getting through it. And that, like, our girls just we don't hire people who do that.
What does the hiring process look like? Is it one interview? Is it multiple? Or how do you find a good fit that way?
We've changed that a lot.
We have. We're always honing that, I think.
Yeah, we really are. We have an application, and after the application, the next part is a video. We ask that our applicants send a selfie video, telling us something. We'll ask a question. And it really, honestly, the willingness, if someone is willing to send the video, that's a big thing, because we want somebody who's willing to put themselves out there and not know how's this gonna come back, you know. So because that's what's happening in the fitting room, where we're, I don't know how we're like,
confidence is just a huge part of it. And so being confident, a lot of people get nervous about filming a video of themselves. I'm sure you have people do that all the time when you have guests on here, but you have to be willing to do it.
And what's interesting is, like, there are so many people now who are filming videos of themselves, especially whatever the generations are that were born on the phone, with the phone. But it's completely, you know, a topic or a dance or whatever that they're comfortable and confident doing. They've probably rehearsed it. We're asking you to be vulnerable and be honest with us about you, and that is uncomfortable. So if you're not willing to do that, then that tells us a lot, because we need you to be real and vulnerable and comfortable in the fitting room, just like you said.
I think that word real is really important, because we take this approach for our marketing strategy too. Like, I think a lot of bridal shops show all these like runway photos or like super stylized photos of wedding dresses. I think people are really bored with that, but also most people don't look like those 6-foot models who are beautiful and wonderful, but not everybody looks like that. And one feedback we get all the time is that when people look at our Instagram feed or something like that, they say, I came to you because it felt like I was buying from real people, and it's real people wearing wedding dresses, so it helps them see themselves a little better. It's not like an influencer in a wedding dress. It's, you know, the girl next door and the girl you went to college with and the girl you met at Sanford, and, you know. And I think that's another component of it too, is we don't ever ask or force our girls to like be on social media, but we often use them on social media because they're a true representation of who we are, you know?
Well, I think that everything you're saying makes a lot of sense. Even from the hiring, it is important to, especially in a customer service type of job, to get a feel for how is somebody going to present themselves. Like, even when we started Church Street, I remember we had people turn their resumes in person, not because we cared, but we didn't need the paper resume. We just needed them to come and talk to us. Right. I mean, once we were open, that was easy, but, you know, like beforehand. So some of it is just seeing that. Also, I think, not in a weird way, but I think it's helpful to put something in the process that is a little different, about a question that's different. So you're not just like, I sent this resume to this many people, which that's fine, but it's like, that's not really who I want to hire. I want to hire somebody who wants this job.
Right.
One thing we always get, there'll be people who send their resumes to me, and I'm like, well, that was not the instruction, and so that already tells me you don't follow instructions, which is not somebody I want on staff. So I do think that's helpful in a lot of ways, to be like, also just saying this is what you need and I'm willing to provide that, is like showing you That's a good thing.
Yes.
Right. A staff member.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And just, I did want to ask about your social, like how you get photos of people, and because it does feel very accessible and you can kind of see yourself in those gowns because they're like, everybody on your social media is beautiful, but again, it's not, I mean, it doesn't seem airbrushed or,
Right.
any of that. And so having somebody on your staff who is willing to be, and that's like, we don't require it either, but it is helpful when people are, like, again, when I was at the shop, it used to be a lot of selfies of me, and that's because it's like, well, it's 6 a.m. and none of the other baristas want to be on here, and neither do I, but, like, I'm willing to do it,
Right.
So how do you find people? Is it always people who work there to model the dresses? Do you hire models? Do you get friends? Or, like, how do you go about that?
We've definitely done a wide
all of
variety
it.
of
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
We do ask our consultants to get content for us. I just noticed your pants. Those are amazing.
I wear my Bustle approved outfit.
Yeah.
I love this.
We've got to get a photo for the show notes of Laine's
Oh, no.
pants. Yeah.
With a link.
Yeah.
Like to know it.
Yeah.
It's TJ Maxx, girls. TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
So we do ask our consultants in downtime to get content for us.
Mm-hmm.
We do not require that the photos be of them, although they like to do it because it's fun to try on wedding dresses. Often the content that we get is them trying on dresses. It also really helps it familiarizes them with the inventory as
That's
well
really
when they do it.
important.
They try it on, they know how it's going to fit, and then we get some great content from it. And I love it when they do it, but we don't require that. We encourage them to, if you're not feeling yourself today, then just like take some photos of a gown on a mannequin. But often they're in the dresses, and I love it. I think it makes the content approachable and interesting and real.
We try to do some like more like staged photo shoots every once in a while. Everybody wants, like, especially in bridal, for like our website or things like that. It's great too. But we try to blend it all in together, and we typically aren't using like stock photos that we get from designers or things like that, again, because it just doesn't feel real enough. So even when we do photo shoots, we're doing it with local girls. We're doing it with people who are in town and local photographers. Like, we really invest in the local wedding industry community. And we've had photographers who've been working in the industry for 20 years, and we've also had like up and coming photographers, because it's important, I think, to get a wide variety of perspectives on things. But it has been I think it's fun for people too. And luckily nowadays, a lot of people just want to be an influencer. And so they love posting on the feed or being like a bustle girl online. But it's also just been like a fun part of the process for us. We have Jillian, who does our social media, is a really great caption writer and is really strategic about leaning into the trends and what's popular with girls that are the typical age that are getting married.
Yeah, she's amazing.
It's so much fun to see the kinds of content that she produces. I'm also so glad I'm not doing it anymore, personally, because she's way better at it than I am. So I think we play a lot on our social media too, and that's on purpose. Like, we'll do it's not just wedding content, and that's been a big thing for us. Is why would you follow your bridal shop after you've bought a wedding dress? Like, really, what's the point? Because by then you're thinking, I probably won't buy another wedding dress again in my life. So we've tried to make our feed fun for people who are maybe one day going to buy a wedding dress. Maybe they already have. And so then it can just be more engaging for more kinds of people. So we feature other local businesses, or we talk about, like, here's a fun place to go with your girlfriends, whether you're going for a bachelorette party or you're just going out for fun, So I think it's been a fun, like, process for us too, to do it. But we've gotten a good rhythm of content creation lately, I think.
That is something that is difficult, I think, for wedding vendors, is that how do you get people to follow? But I did a talk one time for a bunch of wedding vendors for social, and it's like, the problem is you're probably not going to get married again. And if you do, you probably aren't going to use your same vendors, just because that's weird.
It's weird,
So it is like a balancing act to try to get people following you. But then your happiest and best people may not continue to follow you.
Right.
Not because of anything that you did, but just because you did a great job and they're,
Yes.
happily married.
Well, that's where those Google
Yeah.
reviews come in, which I think Google reviews are like a big secret to some of the success our business has had. And we talk about this for any business. It's a good idea to spend time doing that. But truly, you talked about our hiring process earlier, and we have new girls come in who are thinking about working with us. I always say, if you want a good representation of the thing that makes the experience for our brides, go read our Google reviews. And almost every single person says, I had a great time with my consultant. And so that's another layer of it, because again, like you mentioned, there's different stakeholders. There's also different demographics for people who are looking for a bridal shop. So sometimes mom is booking that appointment, and mom doesn't always love Instagram, or sometimes it is the girl who's 20 in college, and so she's a much younger generation. So it's kind of interesting to play between such a broad spectrum of people and places in their lives.
Yeah. Well, and also, how do you get photos from brides? I feel like that's difficult because they pick out their dress, but then it's a big secret. So normally, if you were selling any other type of clothing, it'd be post selfies from trying all these on, post selfies once you bought it. But I mean, they're maybe getting married 9 months later.
Sometimes longer.
Yeah. So then, how do you get people? Because some people I've seen in the Google reviews, they'll leave the review later and say oh, I can finally add photos, which is nice. But I'm looking at that thinking oh gosh, it must be so difficult for you guys to say how do we remind people, show us the photos?
That is something that Jillian does a great job of.
Okay.
She is following up with brides, and she also will share when brides get their photos. They are eager to share them pretty quickly. Sometimes it can take a while to get the photos back from the photographer.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Photographers, I always get on my soapbox about photographers, because I, for a very short stint, was a wedding photographer and got out of it because I was like, this is truly an incredibly hard job. And I'm really glad. Photographers are amazing, and we have a lot of great relationships with photographers. But I think everybody in the wedding industry is kind of lucky that photographers' primary way of marketing themselves is sharing their photos, and they graciously share with most wedding vendors. Not every photographer, but most of them do. And I mean, that's their work that they're just sharing with us for free. So we're always really, really grateful. We try to be very intentional about giving credit and tagging. But photographers, the great photographers, will often reach out to us and say, hey, here's a gallery, or we've put together a vendor gallery for you. And then also, of course, brides love to be featured. Once they've had their wedding, they're so excited for people to see about it. I think a lot of our consultants are also really intentional about forming relationships with their brides. They sometimes will think, oh my gosh, they're getting married at such and such time. I want to check in and see if they ended up with photos. So we often will have people message back after their wedding or text us and say, just wanted to send you a quick photo of this, because it's special to them. It's an important part of their process.
I mean, you want everybody to see your wedding.
You want everybody to see it.
Not people don't care as much as you do. So you guys do actually
we care.
Yeah.
We literally
really
will
care.
hear about a bride 9 months later, and everybody in the room will be like, oh my gosh, let me see the photos, and we'll pass the phone around. We definitely care.
Yes.
So it's kind of a mix. Some people want to send them anyway, and then so you try to get the wedding day if they have it set?
We have it,
Okay. And then do you ask about the vendors, if they already have their photographer, or is it more the photographers reach out to you?
Typically, the photographers reach out to us. We're also, most of the time when brides do post their photos, we will see who's tagged, and photographers usually the one who's tagged. But we actually ask for all of our brides' Instagram handles as well, because one, we love to follow them and engage with them on social media, but that's often where people end up posting their photos. And so we do try to keep up with those kinds of things. We've got records of all that, so we can kind of be okay, who got married this month? And of course, wedding dates change sometimes. Definitely COVID was a wild experience for all of that. But we definitely do keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how did you guys get connected? Because it seems like you've been working together for a while. Did you all?
We have.
Yeah. Did you start out saying, like, I need a creative director, or were you just helping with different things, or how is that?
Actually, thank you, COVID.
We met because of Jeremy.
Well, yes, of course.
Okay. So
We
that's
met
your
because-
husband.
Actually, I was your bartender,
people-
too, before I worked
Oh, yeah.
for you. Do you remember
That's
that?
right.
This is funny. I'm not a bartender, to be abundantly clear. They had to teach me how to pop a bottle of champagne.
That's right, you did. But you were a perfect bartender, Laine. So engaging. I'm sure you got all the tea that night.
Oh,
so Laine worked for my husband, Jeremy, at Breakout. And we both fell in love with Laine then and decided that we wanted to have her in our lives forever.
This is a very wedding vendor story. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, it was COVID. And,
Yeah, I don't know
you
if
know,
you're
here's what
familiar.
I remember about that conversation. I remember very little detail, but calling Laine and being like, I need help. Can you help me?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, so I was working for Jeremy at the escape room, and I don't know if or the listeners are familiar with Breakout, the escape room in Homewood. It's a great time. You should go. It's really fun. But
we'll link to it in the show
link to it
notes.
in the show notes for sure. But when COVID hit, escape rooms, like, it took us a few months to figure out what we were going to do. And I had done some little things with Meredith, and I actually had always been kind of chomping at the bit to do some social media work with you. And so I think that's where you originally just said, hey, can you give me an audit of our social strategy and talk through it? And then we went through it together, and you were like, what if you just did this? And then I always tease Jeremy about this, that then you stole me away because I ended up having a baby in January of 2021. So I took a step back from escape room, didn't quite work out with mom life. And so I worked for Meredith during that time, and then I just never stopped. And so I have a full-time job now, and I still work with Meredith because Meredith and Jeremy both have just been, like, huge mentors and friends in my life, and truthfully are, like, some of the most important people in my life. So I get emotional talking about it because I love them so much. So I probably will always be doing something for you guys, no matter what I'm doing, because I just adore you guys both so much. But you guys,
the feeling is mutual.
You guys are both just also really, like, generous leaders who invest in the people who work for you. And that's always been really huge for me. I remember early on working for both you and Jeremy, people sometimes would say, Laine, like, you have a whole college degree. Like, why are you doing this when there are other things you could do? And I would always say, well, because they could be charging me for the amount of investment they're spending on me, like, as mentors and coaches, and I'm getting it for free, you know? And also working, of course, and being paid. But it's just I have a lot of gratitude for both Meredith and Jeremy. So love you both.
Laine, you're the best.
I also think because, for people listening, Laine also works at Uptick Marketing. But I think it's so helpful when you are a marketing consultant or that kind of thing to actually do this, like boots on the ground. It's so different, and that's a lot of my issue with people who work in our industries, like websites, other marketing, whatever, and that's I think a lot of the value that I bring to my organization is, like, having done this and then knowing, okay, yes, this is what all the blogs are saying you should do.
Yes.
And that's not untrue, but how that actually works with the staff that I have and what I have to keep up with is really completely different. So I actually think it benefits probably both sides. You can probably bring a lot to Bustle because you're learning,
So much.
oh, Google is doing this.
Oh, my word.
And-
Laine is always saying that exact phrase to me. It's so helpful. It is invaluable. It's invaluable.
Well, I also, too, like, have invested a lot. And really, like, I started more, like, operationally at Breakout and then convinced Jeremy that I could do some marketing because I just was scrappy and felt like I wanted to. But I spend a lot, honestly, now almost more time on the operational side of things for Bustle because I also really care about customer service. It's, like, one of my big things, and it's truly because of Jeremy. He taught me a lot about that, and so that I think having someone who understands both sides, both operations and marketing, is really, really helpful because even as, like, I've been a marketing director before working with vendors and stuff, a lot of people will say, well, you should spend all this money on this, but, like, realistically, you have to think about your operational budget too, and you also have to think about what works for your team on the ground. You know, we always have this running joke that I really think that we need a sign that doesn't say "I said yes" because I know that's cheesy, but something, because I'm always trying to incentivize people to take photos. To your point, but the girls a lot of times are like, no, people don't really want that. Like, it's not as much what people want anymore. They want to take a photo with their dress. So you have to tell the marketing person no sometimes. It doesn't work operationally, you know. So I think that's also really helpful, is knowing kind of both sides. It's the center of the Venn diagram that I sit in.
Yeah. Well, I could keep talking. Like, I keep avoiding going down rabbit trails, kind of. But I do want you to tell the story of going viral, because it's just a fun story. So before we
Yes, we have to
wrap up.
Okay.
So I kind of stumbled on this in my research, but there were several articles, like local articles, national articles about. Well, tell me the story.
Okay.
Which going viral is always can be good, can be not. Like, you're like, wait, why am I getting tagged on all these things? I feel like I get scared before I get happy. Like, it's like, what's going on?
I feel like we should tell it how we experienced it rather than, like, temporally, because
that's good.
I think that was part of the, like, fun, and I think that's what people are going to be interested in. If there are other businesses who are also going viral, it's like, how do you handle this?
Yes.
So maybe we should tell it from that perspective.
Okay. So when we move dresses pretty quickly. We don't have sales per se. We don't mark down dresses. Everything is marked down already. When we price a gown, it's significantly discounted off retail. And if for some reason we cannot sell that dress, we, instead of having a sale or marking it down further, we will donate it locally. And so I donated some gowns, and then I think it was 2 days later, I woke up to several missed calls and a text message, and I think a voicemail, and a link to a People article about this Galia Lahav, which is just a uber luxury designer gown that was found at a Goodwill in Birmingham. And it was one of our dresses. And I had this pit in my stomach immediately. And I was like, this is it. This is the end of Bustle.
Meanwhile, I'm over here, like, as soon as I hear about this, because I want to say we might have heard about it from different people at the same time, maybe, or something. I don't really remember the logistics of it. It was a crazy week for me at work. And I just remember being like, oh my gosh, this is we have to jump on this opportunity right now. We can't wait 3 weeks for this. This is a now or never kind of thing. We all know how viral stuff works. It's like you jump on it. And I immediately go to, how can this benefit Bustle? So you were nervous wreck about it. I was like, this is great.
You were thrilled.
And I'm normally the risk averse person out of our team. Like, I'm normally the one who's like, well, let's be cautious about this, or let's consider this. And you're normally like, let's go for it. Our roles were totally reversed in this moment. I went straight into, we need to send out press releases.
Lane is so much cooler than me.
No.
Well, it's different. It's, the marketing side. And so it is scary to say, hey, this is out of my control. As a business owner, you're probably looking at that. And you're looking as a creative director as like, we can control this, though. Like, to some extent, like, we can ride this wave.
Yes.
So that is exciting.
Well, and I feel confident about our ability to, like, control the narrative, which there was no bad narrative, to be clear.
Right.
But you're, of course, worrying, like, what could be said here. And really what had happened was that dress had been donated, and this adorable girl had found it, and the tag on it said it was originally a $6,000 dress, because it was.
Yeah.
And
it fit her perfectly.
Oh, it fit her perfectly,
Yeah.
which just happened to work out.
And she happens to look like a supermodel.
Yeah, I mean, like, literally, we all joked about that. Like, it could have been anybody. But
she got a lot of negative commentary about that. People saying this is fake.
That's what probably you were most worried about.
Because they thought it was just staged. I mean, she literally looks like a supermodel and has the personality of, like,
she's
1,000 Suns. Yeah.
She's amazing. Well, it was funny, too, because I think that's what you were worried about, is you were like, I don't want people thinking we're just donating dresses all the time. I don't want people thinking that.
You don't have to come to Bustle. You just go to the
Yeah. But also, too, it was like, why did you donate the dress? Well, because we keep inventory moving. And I think also the dress was see-through. And a lot of people, like, in the South especially, are not going to buy a see-through dress. And Meredith is really intentional about what we keep in the shop. I know she mentions that sometimes there's pulls or loose beads or whatever, but we send a lot back. Like, we don't accept dresses that are not in conditions that we believe are either, like, reparable for someone to wear. Like, someone could fix that bead or fix the zipper or whatever, or that you just wouldn't notice it ever. So I think there was a lot of fear about that. But the other thing that was, to me, what was fun about it is we could tell the story of this is a treasure hunt, and also really we just want everybody to have a wedding dress, and we're not trying to gatekeep amazing wedding dresses. And so she's not stingy. A lot of people would like throw away a dress like that before donating it,
which is a shame on a lot of levels.
Yes, I know. Well, and also there's like a sustainability angle to sample gowns, and there's just an inclusion element. And so I immediately was like, Meredith, this is amazing. You're doing an amazing thing. Yeah. But Meredith is really humble and doesn't like to brag about this.
Laine really had to talk me into it.
I really did.
She had to convince me that this was positive. And it was. And then we hired the gal who posted
because we were like, we have to talk to her. And she was local, of course, and so we brought her in and we fell in love with her.
That's right, I jumped ahead of the story.
Well, we did a whole photo shoot with her. We brought in one of our favorite photographers, Ashton Wilhite, and an amazing makeup artist. I think she goes by Asia Nicole on Instagram, Asia, both who are incredible and we knew would really vibe with Emily. And so we got everybody all together and we did a little photo shoot, and we have some really great photos we'll send you for the show notes.
Yes. And we fell in love with her at this appointment that we did for her. Yeah, she was wonderful. And
she's amazing.
I think we just asked her right then, like, do you want to work here?
Yeah. It was really kind of silly, but...
And she did. She worked with us for a while, and she is a nurse. And so she finished nursing school and then moved on to follow her career path. And it was just a hilarious event.
Yeah, I mean, we were on the news for it. You made me pay the price for convincing you to talk about it because she made me go on the news articles. So all weekend I was like fielding calls from all these people. It was very silly. But it was so fun. And there were a lot of articles that came out, and we then had a little post that's like, whoops, we went viral, you know. But it really wasn't about, like, we weren't trying to take any attention away from the story. Really, it was just fun to be a part of the story.
Well, it's smart as a business to take that story that either could have gone whatever direction people wanted to take it. Or, I mean, I started in journalism, so I started as a reporter. Like, there's a lot of, you don't have a ton of time, you're trying to just find something interesting. So if your marketing person can give you an interesting angle, you're probably going to take that. If you don't give the reporter an angle, who knows what angle they're going to take. So yeah, like I was thinking, actually we can link to this. I did a story about this, like at the bookstore I worked at before Church Street, we had like a whole fight between us and Western Supermarket. There's like milk involved, Harry Potter's involved. And I used to work at the paper, so I called them and I was like, hey, I know there's a new Harry Potter book coming out and you're going to want a local angle. Here's one. And the same thing, I had to go on like all the local news dress, like Hermione. Like,
that's so funny.
But that's what you do. Like there's like, there are certain crises that are actual problems that you have to hire a real PR for. And then there are some that are just like, hey, just give them something interesting to talk about. And that will probably be what they're going to talk about. And give them photos. Like, you're more likely to get a story if you give them a story and give them photos.
Well, that's what we were doing, is we got a photo shoot done quickly.
Laine, you did all of this.
I had to get lots of permission
from you. You did it all.
But we got a photo shoot scheduled so that we could have, like, real photos that we could send to people. I had luckily just learned how to write a press release and like how that's supposed to work, and so we sent out a press release to local people just so it was like, hey, we are part of this story too and we're happy to talk about it. And then I mean, it was just we engaged on TikTok, which we had not really been on TikTok much at the time, so we quickly made an account just to say something there. And it was a really fun thing that happened and very silly.
But really the greatest thing that came of it was Emily. And meeting
100%.
Emily and having her work with us. She actually recently got married.
She did.
And she ended up buying a different gown for her ceremony, like a very tailored, classic gown. And then she wore the Galia Lahav at her reception.
Oh, cool.
She's also so cool. Her husband's a pilot, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it couldn't have been, like, a cooler person.
Yeah.
But she actually still shoots with the photographer and the makeup artist that we brought in because we, like, got them all connected, and she's amazing. She models great. So she does bridal shoots all the time. And it's just a very fun little thing that happened. And there was some really cool stuff that came out of that, too. Like, Galia Lahav, the designer, they tried to jump in on it, too. So they actually dropped wedding dresses at, like, a bunch of thrift stores in town. Not in here, but, like, all over the country.
Yeah.
I think it was, like, 6. They were like, today we're dropping 6 wedding dresses. And so it was a whole thing for a while.
Oh, that's fun.
It was fun.
It's not likely you're going to find that amazing of a dress in a thrift store on a typical situation.
Yeah.
But you never know.
You never know.
All right. Well, again, I'd love to keep talking, but we all have to get out of here. So the best way to engage with you guys is to follow you on social and make an appointment if you are looking for a dress. Is that right?
Yeah,
For sure.
So tell people the handles and the website. We'll also link to it in the show notes. If you're listening or driving or doing the dishes, just look for those later. But go ahead and tell people if they're...
Yeah, so we're just at Bustle Gowns on Instagram. And that's also our website.
Awesome.
It's bustlegowns.com.
Sweet.
So it should be easy. And our phone number that's on Google or on our website or on our Instagram, you can also text us directly,
Okay.
Which is even easier than calling sometimes if you're in the midst of all kinds of crazy stuff. So that is always the best place to reach us if you have a specific question. But we try to make everything super easy and clear on the website. Yeah. And we love when you join us on social media and engage with us. We always love seeing our past brides and future brides and all the fun things that they're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for coming on.
Thank you, Carrie. This is really fun.
So fun.
Yeah. The Localist podcast is written and produced by me, Carrie Rollwagen. You can find show notes and links to anything we talked about today at carrierollwagen.com and find me on social media at crollwagen. The Localist team is not just me. Our showrunner on The Localist is Taylor Davis, and our sound engineer is Paul Bryant. So until next time, here's to thinking global by acting local and putting small shops before big bucks.